Alright, what's up and welcome to the channel. My name is Hegshot and thank you for joining us. Today I want to give you a size and feature comparison of some of the most popular concealed carry guns on the market right now, and just kind of walk you through each one. If you're looking at maybe getting your first one, first of all, you're coming in at an awesome time in the concealed carry world, and I just want to kind of walk you through some of these and what they offer. Compared to the others, okay? Big shout out to our patrons. Thank you for your continued support of our channel. We really appreciate it. And all subscribers to the channel, viewers, and everybody that supports this channel. We really appreciate it. I got 2 additional links down below, of course, to our brand new channels if you'll come over and check those out. And to the USCCA as well if you are a law-abiding concealed carry gun owner in the United States. Check them out and all the resources they have to offer you. They are awesome, so go ahead and check those out as well, okay? So let's go ahead and get started. What we have here is the Ruger Max 9, the Taurus GX4, the P365, the P365 XL, Shield Plus, and the Hellcat, all right? So let's go ahead and walk through each one. I'll kind of move them out and bring them in. So the first one we're going to show is the P365, and this one really changed the game in the concealed carry market because of its size, and it also gives you 10-round magazines right out of the get-go, which is pretty awesome. 10+1 to get this type of size. Basically, for reference, back in the day, to get 10 rounds, you were something at a Glock 26 size, which when you look at them in comparison, it's not even close. You know, the P365 is much thinner, it's lighter, and this is just advancements in technology. All right, there's nothing wrong with the G26. This is just huge advancements, okay? So that's pretty much where we're at. All right, and what makes this one really awesome is you have front and rear slide serrations there. You have a nice, decent-sized magazine release. You have great grip texturing here, which provides a really good, comfortable grip in the hand. The smaller you go, the harder these are going to be to shoot. So the fact that you have a pretty dang decent grip there, and with this extended base plate, you pretty much get all your fingers onto the gun, which is super awesome at the range, and also it's just a great carry gun all the way around. 10+1 in the pipe, and this thing is actually a very nice shooter, especially considering its size. So with the night sights and everything else this thing offers, this one has been nothing but reliable for me, so no complaints there. It's just been a great gun. Let's move on to the Shield Plus. All right, this one came out earlier this year, and this is another awesome example. So you just seen the original Shield with 7 rounds. This one actually has 10 rounds, okay? So 10+1. And these come with, you know, some of them are extended magazines for the second magazine and things like that. But we're really just focused on the base plate or the magazines that come flush in the gun. But keep in mind, every single one of these guns pretty much has a second magazine, which is equal to or a little bit higher in capacity. It's just going to give you a little bit longer of a grip. So for instance, this is the Shield Plus magazine that's 13+1, and it's going to give you an extended grip down here. All right, it's going to give you a little bit better purchase if that's something you're concerned with, but really it makes for an ideal backup magazine because now you have more rounds on you, okay? But if we look at it in its base configuration, front and rear slide serrations, this particular model just has the regular sights, all right, so 3-dot sights, nothing too special there. But they get the job done, and they're and this is a super accurate gun as well. There's a performance center, ported version, you know, fiber optic version, all that kind of stuff. One where you can have an optic on there as well. So there are different versions of the Shield Plus. But what makes this one really special, not only the increased capacity, the grip texturing is better, but also the trigger on the Shield Plus now is way better than what it ever was on any of the original or any of the Shields before it. So this one is really great. And if we look at the size comparison between these two, all right, you have the P365 on the left, you have the Shield Plus on the right. The Shield is just a little bit bigger, pretty much all the way around. Let's put them on their backs here really quick. I don't have the flush baseplate magazine. I lost it somewhere along the way, but essentially the Shield is going to be a little bit bigger all the way around, a little bit heavier, and that's kind of where this one fits in the scheme of things. But this one offers, maybe it is a little bit bigger all the way around, But as far as the accuracy and everything with this one, the Shield Plus is just amazing. So that's kind of where that one fits. Now we have the Ruger Max 9, and this is one that was a pleasant surprise for me, man. I was hoping it would be like the LC9S Pro from back in the day, which again was a 7-round gun, and now we have a 10-round gun in the Ruger Max 9, and I think it's probably just as good as the LC9S Pro, no doubt. Trigger is basically the same. This one's going to give you front and rear slide serrations. It's going to give you the option to mount an optic straight from the factory, which is awesome. The other two before it did not have that option straight from the factory in their base configurations. Okay, so that's kind of a cool thing here. It's going to give you fiber optic sights, so you have a nice sight to look at in the daytime. At night, it's not going to help you too much. So, you know, you can take that for what it's worth there. And then a black U-notch style rear sight there. So the contrast in the daytime is really awesome with this gun. All right, whereas the P365 kind of gives you that contrast day and night. Okay, so give and takes there. And of course, you can always change these things out, but we're just talking about base configurations. Okay, grip texturing, again, it seems like most companies are kind of going to the semi-aggressive because they're giving you a smaller gun in a pretty potent round, so you have to be able to control that gun, and that's where that grip texturing and size really comes in. And as you can see, if we just kind of move down the line, again, this one doesn't have the flat base plate, unfortunately, but you can kind of see this one is pretty small. We go to the Shield Plus, I definitely have more real estate, especially back in here. For sure, this feels like more gun. And then the Ruger kind of feels somewhere in between, although because you don't have that really pronounced hump like you do, I wouldn't even call it too much of a hump. It's just this area of the Shield Plus is so well filled. It fills your hands so much better on the Shield Plus. On this one, it leaves a bit to be desired, almost like you could use a little bit more backstrap there. Everybody's hands and stuff are different, so I can't speak too much on that, but just for me personally, that's how it feels. Positive engagement with the slide serration, so I really like what they did there. And the trigger on this one is decent. It's almost just like the LC9S Pro. I kind of wish they would have did more of an update on the trigger. It's not the best, but again, I didn't have any issues at the range or any issues with accuracy at all out of this gun. Let's look at the size comparison with these. And basically, you're about the same size as the Ruger Max 9. So if we look at the P365, there's not going to be too much different there if you look at them like that. And as far as the widths and stuff, you know, you're going to see it up on the screen, but really, they are all just about the same width, okay? So not too much to see there. P365 comes in a little bit smaller than those two. Let's check out the P365 XL. This, to me, is the best feeling and one of the best shooting guns like this. Now, keep in mind, this is a 12-round gun. The mags are interchangeable between the P365 and the XL. But when it comes to size, I could take this little bit of extra length right here, and this is almost perfect. Like, if you just pick this, if you were just to pick these guns up in a gun shop, and I picked this one up, I'd be like, this is absolutely perfect. 2 extra rounds. It's gonna print a little bit more. Speaking of printing, if you're wondering, if you're new to the channel, whatever, I carry all of mine in a Tolster holster, almost primarily. Sometimes I do use the urban carry system as well, which I've done a video on. That's really good for super small guns like the LCP2 or something though, okay? But that's how I carry with a good gun belt, almost exclusively, okay? Front and rear slide serrations. This one is optic ready, and as you can see, I have the Romeo 0 on it. It does give you the same x-ray sights like the P365 does. This one just gives you like the flat trigger, which in my opinion, it's better, all right? A little bit more crisp there. It's just all the way around, it's just gonna be a little bit bigger, a little bit heavier. If we look at them side by side here, check it out. All right, it's gonna be a little bit longer, not too much wider. It's gonna give you more of a beaver tail, all right? So that gives you, it's just a little bit more comfortable all the way around. Now, I can't give a super accurate look here. Maybe I can, let me, because that optic's gonna get in the way. But basically, you're talking about 1/4 of an inch, somewhere in there. Maybe a 1/2 inch, maybe. Yeah, with the flat base plate, probably definitely a 1/2 of an inch difference. and that's going to cause the gun to print a little bit more, okay? So it's going to stick out of your pants just a little bit more. If you look at it compared to the Shield Plus here, you can see it's a little bit longer. And again, the widths and stuff, not really much there. If we look at the, now keep in mind, the P365 XL is a 12-round gun. The Shield Plus is a 10-round gun. Check that out. They're almost about the same size. I'd like to see what the spec sheet says on these, but I'm sure they're going to be right there about the same, and probably the same way with the Ruger Max 9 as well, to be quite honest with you. Well, I don't know. The Ruger looks a little bit shorter right there on the front, but it depends on how they contour the magazines and everything else. So there's a lot that goes into it. But if you want, like, if you're somebody that does not want your pinky hanging off of your carry gun, dude, the P365 XL is hard to beat. For real, it is hard to beat. Awesome carry gun. I love this thing. I will probably never get rid of that one. All right, the new Taurus GX4. Now this one is interesting. It looks like maybe if Taurus and, I don't know, Glock were to have a little baby and they were to call it the GX4, this is kind of what it is. Super blocky. It's got a pretty pronounced hump back here, but although I will say it does feel good in the hand, this one separates itself a little bit because it does have an interchangeable backstrap. None of the other options you've seen so far have the ability to do that except for this one. That's pretty cool. Trigger on this one, I don't know. I haven't taken it to the range quite yet. It feels weird, man. It's got a really heavy wall, super short travel. All right. It's just got a heavier pull to it. We'll just have to see how it does, man. I hope it does awesome. But it's going to, again, come with an 11-round magazine. So they kind of did what Springfield did. They one-upped the P365, went with 11+1 in the chamber. And it, again, comes with 2 magazines. Super responsive magazine release there as well. And a semi-aggressive type grip texturing, front and rear slide serrations. And they also do give you a little bit of a stippled area right there for your thumbs to be rested on. So that's pretty cool. And then pretty basic sights, blacked out serrated rear sight and a white dot there in the front. Okay, so this is more of the budget option for these guns. This is going to be more of the budget option. So is the Shield Plus. It's going to be more budget friendly. The Ruger Max 9, a little bit more budget friendly. But in these times, what is a budget gun? Nobody really knows because it doesn't exist. Okay. Peephole right there so you can see your brass down in the chamber. It's got a pretty dang smooth slide on it too, I must say, for a smaller gun. One thing you'll have to keep in mind, if you have weaker dexterity in your hands, these guns become harder and harder to pull back the smaller they go, okay? But if we do compare this one's pretty interesting because of its size. If you look at the P365 there, I hate that I don't have the flat base plate, but it is what it is. But if we look at them like this, these are going to be almost identical. So they were definitely going for this market for sure, but you can see how much more pronounced that hump is right here on the Taurus. And that helps to fill the hand up a little bit more, a little bit better there. If we look at it compared to the Shield Plus, let's check this out. A little bit shorter than the Shield Plus. They look to be about the same here. Maybe the Taurus is a little bit wider. But then we look 11+1 and 10+1. Taurus got them beat there. All right, with that. So you get 1 extra round and it's a little bit shorter. So that's not too bad. It's going to be about the same with that. And then it's obviously going to be shorter than the P365 XL. And now let's bring in the Hellcat. And while we're here, let's look at the size. All right. It's almost identical to the Hellcat. We do like that. This is 11+1 and 11+1. Hellcat might be just a hair shorter, not too much there. This looks taller, but I imagine these are all about the same size spec-wise if you put the other base plate I've mentioned like 5 times now on there. Okay, so that's about where it is. And the Hellcat has made a name for itself. A lot of people like it. Front and rear slide serrations, optic ready version. I got to tighten that up. That's a little bit loose. U-notch style in the rear with a fiber optic, or U-notch in the rear, and then you have a day night sight type of setup, very similar to the P365 in that tritium setup in the front with a bright dot up front as well. But this is not tritium back here in the rear, whereas on the P365 it is. Okay, so there you go. There's that. Another semi-aggressive grip texturing up here and texturing in the front of the gun. And overall, a very good size. Now, the problem I have with this one, some of you know this very well, this gun, for me, in my hand, and in Mrs Hegshot's hand, this thing sucks to shoot. The Hellcat. I literally feel like I can't hit the broadside of a barn when I pick this thing up compared to the others. Minus the GX4, because I haven't shot that one yet. I have no idea. But compared to these others, we shot them all on the same day. This one is the hardest out of all these to shoot, and to me, it has the most amount of recoil. So the smaller you go, the more recoil you're going to have. And I just think this sight setup for me is not, it's just not ideal. My eyes don't pick this up too well. Some people don't have a problem with it. That's totally fine. If this is your carry gun, don't take any offense to it. I could care less either way. If you're carrying a gun and you can carry a gun, you're legally allowed, that's all that matters to me. I don't really care either way. But I'm just telling you, in my hands, this one is not the best for me when it comes to shooting. But it does have some nice features, and it has a really great size. This thing is a dream to carry. It really is. So there is the Hellcat, and again, we can compare it. We kind of already did against the Taurus there, but it's going to be on the smaller end of things. All right, so what you've noticed is most of these guns now are optic ready. The Shield, you can get it optic ready. The P365, of course, the Hellcat. The Taurus, I don't know that they're doing an optic ready version just yet, but the Ruger is also optic ready. So anything under 10 rounds now in today's market is pretty much done. All right, we're pretty much past that point now. It's got to be 10 and up. And you can tell that guns have just gotten smaller, thinner, lighter, with more capacity. So it's a really good time to be a concealed carrier. Which one you choose is going to be up to you, man. It's really going to take getting them in your hands, maybe, watching reviews like this one to really help you maybe determine if you can't get them in your hands, if you don't have a range that rents them out. What I will tell you, as far as shootability, the Shield Plus and the XL, to me, are some of my favorites. Mrs Hegshot is really a fan of the Max 9 and the Shield Plus. I carry I have been carrying the Shield Plus now since that pretty much came out, but the P365, I carry that a bunch as well. When it comes to carrying the guns, the P365 and the Hellcat are some of the most comfortable, but you're really not talking about a ton of weight between this and the Shield Plus. So when I carry the Shield Plus, I don't really notice a whole lot. Although if I carry them back to back, then I start to see a little bit of a difference there. But it's so minute. If you have a good gun belt, good gun holster, then you should be just fine with any of these options. Even the P365 XL is really not a bad gun. So really, you could pick any one of these. To me, I don't trust the Hellcat in my hands as far as shooting. So that's why I don't ever carry this gun. Really at all. I just pretty much use it for comparisons now, to be quite honest with you. So there you go. There's some of the most popular concealed carry guns on the market today. Size and feature comparison of some of the most popular carry guns today. Let me know what your thoughts are down in the comments below. We'll see you in the next one. And as always, hold them down.